Well, welcome. We're going to talk about dialogue editing here, on how to do a real world dialogue edit from a movie. And this is a movie I worked on somewhat recently called The Mentor. You can check it out on Amazon Prime. I think it was released 2020. So I've set up this session. I did receive a file from the picture editor. I requested an AAF file, and then I imported all this multi-track audio, and I just took a little excerpt from it. It was a very large session with more markers here, but I deleted all of them. I just had the same session, and it's actually really good to review. I requested a burn-in time code here with a counter, so I can match frame by frame to keep the sync. So I know exactly if it's in sync with the Pro Tools timecode. And it's a little excursion there. We know that my frame rate's good. This is a film, so it's closer to 24 frames per second. Or the 23.976, close to 24. That's like a digital film frame rate. Anyhow, what we're trying to do here is take the given tracks from the picture editor. So this is what I was given. This was exactly what I was given, which are various boom and lav mics. This would be a shotgun mic, and a lav mic would be like a lapel mic, usually under the actor's clothing. And this is what I was given. No character names, just numbers. And so what I want you to do is copy the best takes here to these purple tracks. And this is my actual work that I did on this film. So how do we do that? There is a setting here that's actually very important. Notice how, like, when I click in a track here, how it's selecting the track there, right? And so that setting is right here, link track and edit selection, right up here, right? That's what that is. When that's turned off, when I turn that off, like, it doesn't select the track. See, it just keeps the track selected. So we want that on. And what that enables us to do is solo. So if you have a control surface, or if you don't, what I can do is Shift S. So Shift S will solo that track. This becomes incredibly powerful with P and semicolon. We all know keyboard focus. I can zoom in, zoom out with R and T. So P goes up, semicolon goes down. And so I can quickly now Shift S.
No problemo. You'll probably be back in time for your speech.
Right, and that was the best. It was just called mix. It was probably a mix of a boom recording. Then there's this other take here.
No problemo.
But that's someone else's lav mic or something.
No problemo.
Just way too roomy, right? So obviously you have to go with this entire track right here. So what I did then, I copied this down.
So sorry.
Right? So I'm just gonna C, just C, keyboard focus. I went down. I'm using semicolon to go down, and then I pasted it in here, right? And I think there was another. I guess the other character, Claire. Let me just bring up the video into here so you can see who the characters are. So this is Nyla, this is Claire, this is Mr. Emu, and then I think you need to know Mr. Owl is another character here, and with the red shirt on, and Mrs. Hawk. But there's no other characters, so this is actually good. You can just kind of follow along here. Anyhow, so this is Mr. Emu here, and
So sorry. So sorry. I promise I won't let them hurt you. No problemo.
so that's just Mr. Emu. So I cut that out, and I was leveling it off, and then Claire had a little bit of dialogue here, but I just pulled it from the same.
Please protect us.
So I just pulled it from the exact same take, which is all I had to go on. So you can't always control what you're given from the picture editor, right? This came straight out of the video editor. Who knows where they imported it or what they were doing, or who even knows what this mix is. Maybe it was like a mix down track that they made. That's all I had to go with, right? So you have to use the best material, and this is actually clean dialogue here. There's a lot of super noisy dialogue that I didn't give you. in this session because that's just a lot of noise correction and stuff like that. So anyhow, I digress. So what we're going to do, what the process is you're going to take these cuts up here. You're just going to hit C, and then you're going to solo. Let's do it first.
Miss Adams, what did you really mean by be like Herzog?
Not now.
Right, so I only have two choices here. Is this one good? So I'll just solo that. Go down there, Shift S. Way too roomy, so we can't use that one. So this is someone's lav mic, maybe off camera or whatnot. We can't use that one. So I had to use this entire thing right here. So what I would do again, just to repeat the process, I hit C, just C, because I'm in keyboard focus mode here, right? Edit keyboard focus mode. Hit C for copy, and then semicolon goes down, and then I would just paste that on. This is a dialogue now between Nyla and Claire, right? So what I did then, I just pasted it on there, and then I would divide it up. So I took this and I chopped it up here, put Claire on there, put Nyla here, Claire, and so what I'm doing here is called checkerboarding, and let me just redo this scene here just to show you exactly how I did that. I'm deleting my work here. Oh, kind of unfortunate, but I'm going to solo this now. And so this soloing is very powerful because I don't want to hear all these at the same time. So I just Shift S on this.
Miss Adams, what did you really mean by be like Herzog?
Not now.
Okay, so right there's Claire's. So I'm just going to use another feature here. Tab the transient. This is actually really helpful right up here. Tab the transient, and hopefully you know what that is. So if I'm in the waveform, I can tab over.
Be like Herzog.
Down arrow, down
Not
arrow,
now.
down arrow. Okay, so this little dialogue right here, tab over.
Not now.
Please, mentoring.
Not now.
Please.
So that's really good. And so this is kind of a low signal, so I can definitely turn it up. I can kind of see there's another, I want a little bit more waveform here. So I'm going to inflate the waveform vertically a little bit because I want to get that please sound. So get a very clear waveform.
Not now.
Please.
So right here, I would probably make the transition. So maybe I'd chop this off and I would just hit B to separate. I would X to cut, and I would go down so I wouldn't lose sync. And I'm going to go down to Claire's track here, V. And is this even on Nyla's track? No, it's got to be on Nyla's track. So another way to do this, I could just click and drag down and see how I'm moving left and right. I'm holding down Control key to constrain my left and right movement. So that's another way you can do this if you want to use your mouse. I prefer the P and semicolon. That's a really great thing. Okay? And then I'm just going to keep on going here.
Please, mentoring will calm me.
Right? And in this case, I don't really need to use fades because it's the same thing, but I'm just kind of checkerboarding on the same track. But I can do some fades too.
Just go your own way. Forget.
Okay, it's a little bit loud there, but I'm just going to drag this down to Nyla. Control click. I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, it'd be Windows click. And that constrains the movement of the waveform because we don't want to lose sync at all. It's very important.
Just go your own way. Forget the 3 acts and the real plot. Discover your vantage point and generate it.
Great. So that's all Claire there. That works. So what I've done here, I've just done a straight up checkerboard. And now I'm going to get back to the regular. I'm going to double click on the zoom tool. And what that did is it put the vertical zoom back to default. So what's created here now is a type of checkerboard. So if these were separate takes, I would want to do something more like to put in some fades here. So just to make a smooth transition. But because it's the same thing, it's sort of unnecessary. I don't really exactly need to do it. It looks like I'm in grid mode here. I don't need to be in grid mode. But what you could do, let's put it back in grid mode because I got an idea here. I'm just going to do fades that overlap one frame. So I just do a kind of a manual crossfade. It's a little bit unnecessary here, so we don't want to hear it, but let's see if we can actually, I'm just going to shift select both these and see if I can hear. So we don't want to hear any of the fades. They're just kind of precautionary. So that's a great technique to use fades. But this whole thing here, this visual display of every character having one dialogue, if it's whatever's the best sounding one, the boom or the lav, whatever, you just use your ears. This is checkerboarding. It looks like a checkerboard. And so what that allows us to do is EQ, for example. I can EQ all of Claire's stuff now because Claire has a certain sibilance to her voice. I was subtracting 4K and 770 here out of that. So you can use any EQ for that. And then you just want to listen to it, make sure it's all leveled off here, and make sure it sounds natural.
Miss Adams, what did you...
So the Miss Adams mic, could it be a little bit louder? Let's see.
Miss Adams, what did you really...
And I really like the down arrow.
What did you...
So that marked in right there. And I might just, take this selection right here and just boost that phrase a little bit. See if that sounds...
Miss Adams, what did you really...
That was a little bit much, but, you get the idea here. So you can just kind of ride the clip gain. So it's another clip gain setting. So that's under View, Clip gain line. And so that allows you to see the... if I take that off, then you just see... There's another view here. Hold on. That allows you to see the line that is for the clip stuff. So there's another display that's not visible right now. Where is it right here? Clip gain info. I think it's this one. That gives us a little fader here, so we can raise up the whole clip if we want to, right? So that gives us the fader. That was turned off, by the way. I know it's really small, but it's right there, right? I just turned that on. Clip gain info. And then I'm going to turn it back on because it's actually very useful. It's good to kind of go through the process here of what I'm doing. View, clip gain line. And that gives me this readout. So sometimes I'll even go in here with the grabber proper and I'll do I'll just remove I might put another anchor point in there and then option. This is very detailed work. I put a little breakpoint right in there and then I'm going to option click on this one right here I can smoothly ride the clip gain like volume automation, right? So I just wanted to bring up that phrase. I'm just showing you how to level this off if you want to, or you could do it just on the clip gain.
Miss Adams.
The clip gain key command, as you know, is going to be what? What is it?
No problem.
What is the clip gain key command? Control Shift up down arrow. And my preferences are set to 0.5 dB. So I'm just going to zoom in here and show you that. So it's moving up and down in 0.5 dB. Okay? And while we're on it, I'm just going to look at the levels here. So I've put in this session that you guys are going to use, the TL master meter right here, boom. And when I play this...
No problem. You'll probably be back in time for your speech.
So I can get a lot louder than that. I'm at negative 17 dB.
No problem.
So let's get a little bit louder here. And I used to be able to... There we go, clear. You got to clear it, and then... So it's at 17, so I'm going to go up 5 dB. So let's go 11. Let's try that.
No problem. You'll probably be back in time for your speech. 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah, so that's good right there. So TL Master Meter, it's included in Pro Tools. So you guys should have it, but I would clear that again. I'd play it again.
No problem. You'll probably be back in time for your speech.
And if it's around 12, this is 13.68. That's fine, And you begin to visually see that the waveform is about 1/3 of the way up. So this one, I don't even need to listen to it, but I could just be like, okay, well then I'm going to match 1/3 of the way up, and let's listen to that.
So sorry.
Okay, so something has to happen here. I was a little sloppy with this edit here.
So sorry.
So I might just mark in
So sorry.
right there, hit B. And so any footsteps or pen clicks in this scene, any other sounds like that, now I'm going to constrain the proportions again, are going to go up to the production FX. That's production sound effects. So all the sound effects will be separated out. They're not dialogue, and they should be put on their own track, right? So this is really good for you guys to get a taste of this checkerboard editing. And so you can kind of really see it looks like a checkerboard. Every character, this is Mr. Emu.
So sorry. I promise I won't let them hurt you.
Please protect us.
No problem. You'll probably...
Turn that up a little bit, right? So I can turn up these a bit here. And I'm just using my ears. So you're really just doing a process. Let's do a little bit more of this. So here's an interesting spot here. I'm just going to select in here. This is the workflow. I would do Shift S to solo this boom track.
Yes, a writing partner.
Okay. Shift S again.
Yes, a writing partner.
Very roomy. Shift S again. I'm doing P and semicolon to go up and down.
Yes, a writing partner.
Those all sound pretty good to me, so you can choose whichever one sounds good to you. Then look at all these options here.
Don't you agree, Miss Adams? Don't you agree, Miss Adams?
That's the boom mic. Looks like that one's labeled.
Don't you agree, Miss Adams?
Someone else's lav mic, it sounds like.
Don't you agree, Miss Adams?
Someone else's lav mic.
Don't you agree, Miss Adams?
Ah, that one's different. That one's the lav mic of I believe it's Mr. Owl. Is that right? Mr. Owl, yes. So which one did I choose? Let's see. Shift S.
Don't you agree, Miss Adams?
So I thought that was a little bit strange. So I think I chose one of the probably the boom mic. The boom mic will get a lot of the ambience. So I think I just copied down that one there. So you could choose the lav mic there if you wanted to, if you thought it sounded good. I just thought it took away a lot of the other the ambience of the. Okay, that footsteps right there. I should have. Looks like I was a little bit sloppy on this edit. So I could copy these up here. I'm going to split them there. Shift select. I'm going to X, cut them, go away. P goes up, and I'm going to go up to production sound effects right here and just paste them in there. And so this method of using P and semicolon, as you see, I can cut and paste off and move up and down. And I won't lose sync. So it's great. P and semicolon, very, very powerful tools. And let's move this over here. Sounds good.
Still haven't told that one. Hush, hush.
So that's a little quiet there. I couldn't really hear what's going on there.
Still haven't told that one. Hush, hush.
Sounds like I chose more of the lav there.
Still haven't told that one. Hush, hush.
So there's less room. So you're constantly choosing these various takes based on the camera angle, right? If it's a close-up medium shot, or if it's a wider shot. So you're choosing the perspective of what you're cutting in there, right? You're using your ears. It's there's a lot of decisions you're making there. Looks like there's just a boom and a mix, and I'm not sure exactly how these were created. I was working really fast on this film, so I didn't have time. I was the third editor on this film, so I didn't have time to, see where everything was created. I just had to take the raw materials and make the best of it. So I didn't have time. I couldn't get anyone on the phone like, hey, what's the boom mic? That was long gone. I was on I had to finish the film. So I just had to work with the best material. So I hope we understand the process now where I'm just soloing stuff. Right? Is that one good? Or is this one? They sound about the same to me, so just use your judgment there. And then here's another one. Let's see what this is. Shift S. Sounds like just a sound effect there. I'm not sure if they... I'm not sure what the sound effect was there, but I put it on the production sound effects. So as you can see, every thing that comes from the mouth, grunts, laughs, breaths, whatever, if possible, if it makes sense, put it on that character's track, right? Everything else that's a sound effect, on here, if I just solo this track, what do I have in here? Lots of footsteps. There's someone talking there. Pen sounds. Someone's talking. I'm just soloing this. And the sword. So all the sound effects go on this track. And I would continue to checkerboard, level this off. And that's about it. Let me see if I'm missing anything here. We were using clip gain. We talked about the levels. Oh, one more other thing here, just to show you down here. I did remove a lot of stuff. There's a lot of tracks hidden here that just weren't showing anything. This is just a little 1 minute scene of a feature-length film. And let's look at this, because we talked about perspective cutting. So here I have ambience. Hopefully you can hear that. It's very subtle. Very subtle sound effect. But then the scene changes here. Right here. Right now it's like it's some bathroom interior. And I can probably turn that up a little bit. Right, see how that changes? So the idea is that we're cutting for perspective, right? So this is a totally different ambience here than in this large room. So we're creating a workflow with mixing in mind. So the mixer could then group these ambiances on one fader and turn them up, or you could at least visually see it. And, I could color code this if I want to, just to review the color coding. It's always good to go over that. So maybe clips and tracks, I would do maybe another shade of yellow. So it's slightly different, right? So it's like orange and yellow, and those are different scenes. So you can kind of see I layered my backgrounds here and then mixed that in. There's not many sound effects in this scene. I'm sure we could have sound designed further. Here's some Foley. You can mix that in. Not much here at all, really. Here's another sound here. But, oops, not so good. But you're going to be, it's like a slurping sound right there. Because she's drinking some tea. That's a little bit loud, so maybe a little bit less. You're mixing those in. You're using your ears. You're trying to mix it in as realistic as possible, right? It's only a short little scene. Here's some music. I'm going to solo that. It's kind of more of a drone pad to kind of get this like sinister. So you're going to mix that in, but really you want the dialogue on top. And if you're mixing it to be about -12 in this bus, then that's going to work. So I've set this all up for you with submixes and the relevant tracks. These green tracks are from the picture editor. And when you're done, you're just going to take all these green tracks and just make them inactive. That just takes them offline, right? And then we're going to be listening to all of the work of the editing, the checkerboarding, the leveling, all that good stuff. I talked a little bit about EQ. You can also use EQ. And if you want to, and if you need it, maybe some compression. But you want it to be very transparent in this case. Very transparent. So usually a digital compressor. That's very optional. I didn't even use any compression on this. I could have. If that's the case, what's a stock Pro Tools one that I'd recommend? Probably like the Dynamics 3. Where are we here? I've got too many plugins here. Dynamics 3, compressor limiter. This one could work. Let me just compress, I don't know, Mr. Owl's sound here. Let's bring this up just a little bit. I'm gonna bring it up a few dB. And you have to know why we're compressing though. Like what's the point of the compression,
Yes, a writing partner.
I mean, it's actually nice to show you how to set this threshold here. So I'd set this threshold to be
Yes, a writing partner.
maybe right at the top of that peak.
Yes, a writing partner.
Right, and then maybe I'll just give it a few dB again.
Yes, a writing partner. Yes, a writing partner.
And I could bypass that.
Yes, a writing partner. Don't you agree, Miss Adams?
Right, so you can kind of level it off, smooth it out perhaps a little bit, but ever so subtly, and I really wouldn't even hear that it's compression. Compression is one of those things that you want to be very transparent if you're going to do that at all. And that's about it. So you're going to bounce to QuickTime, and how I'd recommend doing that. I set 2 memory locations of start and end, and I kept a weird time code here because this is reel 1. Let me show you. This is reel 1, and it's 13 minutes into the reel. So the reels were about 20 minutes long, and I just removed all the other content and gave you this main reel for this. So I think that's sufficient information for this assignment. And I've given you just 1 minute of this video, this dialogue edit. This is great because this is a real world example of dialogue editing of the assets. And I've set this up. If you were creating this from scratch, you would probably get an AAF file, which is like a multi-track file from the video editor, and just a QuickTime video. And I'll show you more about this process of this movie. But I think that's enough to get you started on this dialogue editing task. All right.